Kanya from Bangalore. Great. So it's great to have you all over here. Keep those responses coming in. I'm deliberately taking a few seconds to do this, mainly because Zoom takes a minute to reinstall or connect for a few people. So I want to give everyone a chance to come in before we go live with today's session, which is very exciting, very interesting. I'm sure all of you are super keen to know about Berkeley's Master of Financial Engineering program. That's why you're here. But let us know in the meanwhile the city you're dialing in from. So I saw someone from Ghana. I see Manhan from Mumbai and Indianapolis now. I see Dora from Ghana as well. Great to have all of you over here. Good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are, depending on the time zone that you are in. I know a lot of us are in India right now, so good evening to all of you. Thank you for dialing in so late in the evening. But those of you who are outside of India in different time zones, good afternoon to you guys. Christina from Greece, great to have you over here as well. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to get started very soon. I'm going to do introductions very shortly. But before I do that, what I want to do is gauge some audience interest. So I'm going to run our polls for the evening. We have around 100 people in the room right now. We're expecting another 50, 70 to connect over the next few minutes. But what I'm going to do is go live with our polls for the evening. We want to gauge your interest in the finance industry, the function that you're interested in, and the location that you're interested in. So I'm going to go live with the poll now. And if you can see on your screen right now, the polls are live. There are 3 questions in this poll, which is which industry are you most interested in? So there are options for that. Then there is which function within the banking, financial services, and insurance industry are you most interested in? So function of your interest. And then the location within continental United States or continental North America that you're interested in working at. So whether you're interested in East Coast of the US, the West Coast of the US, or if you're indifferent, mainly looking for opportunities across the continental North America. So I'm going to keep these polls live for a few seconds. So I'm going to keep this live for the next 30 seconds. So please take a moment to respond to these poll questions. It really helps us understand your interest and gauge what you are really looking for. As you can see, I have Jacob with me on the call as well, on this webinar as well. Jacob is the program director for Berkeley's MFE program. I'm going to do a more detailed introduction for him shortly. In the meanwhile, through these poll questions, let us know what is your interest or what is your motivation to be attending today's session. Those of you who have joined us just now, just a few seconds ago, if you're not able to see the poll on your screen or on your mobile phone, on the bottom right on your mobile screen, there would be 3 dots. You can click on that and click on the polls as an option, and you should be able to see the poll questions as well. So let us know your interest in this session through those poll questions. And if you're done responding to the poll questions through the chat, let us know the city you're dialing in from. Great. So I have around 65 of the 135 people in this session who have responded to the poll questions. So my request to the others would be to keep responding. I would ideally want to see all 133, 135 who are in the room right now to respond to this poll. If not that, at least 80% of you, so close to 100 of you respond to this poll. So I'm going to keep this poll on for another few seconds. So if you haven't yet responded, please do so. It would be great to know what is your driver or what is your motivation behind attending this session. Great. So just a few more seconds before I switch off the poll. Just the last 10 seconds. So if you haven't responded, do so very quickly. The 3 questions are, which industry are you most interested in? Which function within BFSI that you're most interested in? And which location in North America are you interested in working in eventually post your studies in the East Coast, West Coast, or you are indifferent about anywhere in continental North America? Ishan, I do see a response in the chat, but if you're able to respond to the poll, great. If not, I have made note of your response in the chat as well. Great. With that, I'm going to end the poll questions now and share the results. So if you can see on your screen right now, around 98, so 83, 84 people have responded to these poll questions. Out of those, around 25% are looking at a career in investment banking. That's their motivation. The next highest is tech, so they're looking for a career in tech. I can possibly combine this with fintech as well and count that around 37%. Then there's asset management, trading, and other options within the industry overall. When it comes to function, the most important or the most key driver for people is data science. That's the buzzword. So data science analytics, these are the driving factors. So a lot of you, around 29%, want to work in data science within the financial services industry, followed by quantitative research, portfolio management, trading, product management, strategy, risk model management, and so on and so forth. When it comes to location, as expected, a lot of our audience is indifferent. They're okay being anywhere in continental North America. I'm possibly combining Canada as well in this, but look, your location agnostic broadly, followed by 38% wanting to work on the east coast of the US, which is mainly New York, Boston, and so on and so forth. And 8% of you are ideally looking to work on the west coast of the United States, which is where California is and which is where Berkeley is located as well. Great. With that, I'm going to stop sharing the poll questions and get into the introductions. So my name is Sanjay Dhingra. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder at Seed Global Education. We are a higher education strategy firm based out of UK. We operate across Asia, Middle East, and Africa, facilitating such interactions for prospective students like yourself with top tier 1 universities from around the world. So we facilitate such interactions like we are doing today evening between you and Berkeley's Haas School of Business, especially for their Master of Financial Engineering program. Who I have as a panelist in this session with me today, I have Jacob Gallus, who is the program director of Berkeley's Master of Financial Engineering program. He's going to tell us more about Berkeley's MFE program, the USPs of the program, and how the program is tailored around top-notch curriculum by top-notch faculty, and how it provides you personalized career services to give the skills that you need to hit the ground running after graduating and build a career in possibly the financial services industry in North America. A little bit about Jacob. Jacob, as I said, is the program director for the MFE program at Berkeley currently. Prior to Berkeley, he was with NYU's Stern School of Business, again, a top-tier business school in the United States, where he launched their one-year MBA program in technology, so their STEM MBA program as such. Prior to getting into the education industry, Jacob was in consulting and executive search, mainly working with Heidrick and Struggles. It's a major amongst the top executive search firms, where he recruited, assessed, and placed executives in major financial services institutions. He started his career at Goldman Sachs, managing relationships with the firm's hedge fund clients. So he's come from the industry, he's experienced what it takes to be in a top-tier hedge fund in the financial services industry. So he's done that himself, and he's possibly the best person today to tell us more about Berkeley's MFE and how you can use the MFE program at Berkeley to segue into a career in financial services in North America. With that, I'm going to hand this forum to Jacob and hear from him about the Berkeley's MFE program. We'll take up a lot of questions for him at the end. So if you have questions for him, post them in the Q&A box. Don't use the chat box for that. Use the Q&A box for it. It's easier to moderate for us, and we'll pick up the right questions to ask him post his presentation. With that, over to you, Jacob.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. It's my distinct privilege, pleasure to be here with all of you. And thank you so much for spending your evening with me today and learning more about the financial engineering program. Thank you to the good folks at Seed for having me here as well. So indeed, we will be discussing the financial engineering program here at the UC Berkeley Haas School of Business. Now, we are a very unique graduate program in that we are one of the only programs in the United States that is indeed 12 months or 1 year in nature. So in just 1 year's time, 12 months, you will be prepared with the tools, the skills, and the knowledge to take your career forward in the cutting edge fields of quantitative finance and data science. Now, I'm sure many of you are reading about all of the changes going on with respect in this industry and broadly speaking in financial technology as it relates to new implementations of artificial intelligence. And of course, UC Berkeley, located in the heart of where all of that innovation is happening. It's an incredibly exciting time to be here. And especially for those of you who are interested in going into these fields, this is a great place to be studying with people who are working at the very, very change occurring across these fields. Now, I do want to mention that our program is a top-ranked program. This is incredibly important. We are consistently ranked a top-ranked program by leading publications, including TFE Times, QuantNet, RiskNet, as well as being located at one of the world-renowned top business schools in the entire world, that is the Haas School of Business. Not to mention the fact that you will be at UC Berkeley, Cal Berkeley, renowned for its engineering, finance, and computer science curriculums, faculty, and degrees. What does this mean for you? Well, what it means for you is that the minute you become a student here in the financial engineering program at Berkeley, you have instant reputational brand recognition as you go out into the market, searching for internships, jobs, and of course, immediately have the brand cachet attached to you by being with this institution and program. Now we bring together a combination of research ladder faculty who have been researchers in their field, some of the top minds, including individuals like Martin Latau, Terry Hendershot, who will be teaching your courses. But also, because we are located in the San Francisco Bay Area, we are also able to bring in folks from industry. As an example, I have two individuals, senior managing directors from BlackRock, leading the systematic active equity portfolio there, who teach our equity capital markets course. I have the chairman and head of sustainability at Franklin Templeton coming to teach a course in sustainability and private equity to our students. So you will benefit from both learning from industry practitioners as well as senior tenured faculty. Now, our curriculum is exclusively designed for our financial engineering students, meaning that you will be taking a tailored curriculum whereby 95% of the coursework is team-based. Now, we do this because it is going to be representative of what you will be faced with in the labor market. Of course, in the job market, you will have to be working in teams. So you will be working with people from all different countries, all different types of backgrounds, and it makes for an incredibly immersive learning experience. Now, you will also benefit from independent study projects in the quantitative finance and data science space. This is in addition to an internship, which we will help you find and prepare for interviews. But these are great ways to work on real problems, real challenges being faced by companies, and it gives you the opportunity to build additional experiential learning, which you can add to your CV and, of course, are great talking points for your CVs. Now, we do have a 3-month internship period that typically runs in our program. And of course, myself and my staff are incredibly hands-on and helpful in helping you to secure those internship opportunities. Many of the students are staying out here in the San Francisco Silicon Valley Bay Area. Other students are heading off to Chicago, where many of the trading firms are. And of course, many students head off to New York City, among other cities across the United States and internationally, including Hong Kong, Singapore, London, among others. Now, for those of you who might be interested in continuing to work in your company, but might want to do this program remotely on a part-time basis, we do have that option available. So again, if you are a current working professional, happy in your job, but think that you would benefit from the educational experience, you're welcome to apply for our part-time program. Again, this is not meant for those of you looking to relocate to the United States, truly meant to be a flexible learning experience for those of you looking to apply the knowledge gained in the program immediately on the job. Now, again, I suspect for the vast majority of you, you'll be looking at our full-time 1-year program, but just know that this option is available to you should you choose to pursue it. We're happy to give you some more information about it. Now, as I mentioned, we have an incredibly successful track record of helping students to launch careers in this space. We will be working with you to help you secure internships, industry projects, and ultimately allowing you to secure those full-time outcomes. Now, across this space, we have some of the highest salaries in any program as you look. This is an incredibly lucrative field. And of course, even in the quant finance space, we do a fantastic job helping our students to secure amazing outcomes. And of course, when it comes to the return on investment on this program, it is full none, an amazing return on investment. Mean base salary coming out of the class of 2023, nearly $150,000, not to mention an additional $26,000 sign-on bonus. One of my top students this year was able to secure $275,000 base salary, making well over $500,000 in just their first job out of the program. Just an incredible outcome. Again, we have a full published career report on our website, including but not limited to a full list of firms trailing 3 years who have hired our students for internships, full-time jobs, as well as more information on locations, functional areas. Again, all available for your perusal at any point in time. Now, again, myself will be working with you every step of this way, in addition to my career services staff, and we will be putting together a comprehensive resume book that will be sent out to thousands of contacts across the fintech and financial services ecosystem. You'll benefit from 3 unique alumni networks: the program alumni network, which now has over 1,500 MFE alumni, the broader Haas alumni network, which of course boasts one of the top MBA programs of the world, many of whom are now senior leaders at the very organizations that you would like to work at. And of course, the broader UC Berkeley community, namely the Electrical Engineering and Computer Science Department, which again has been around for many, many decades and has some amazing alumni networks that you can tap into. Now, of course, we are a STEM OPT recognized program, meaning that you will very likely be studying on an F1 visa here in the United States. You will benefit from having the opportunity to work in the United States for 3 years without needing to go through the H-1B visa process. Again, a benefit to you, and we have dedicated offices and staff who will help you through every step of that process. Of course, you'll also benefit from mock interviews, workshops, job fairs, among many other resources here as a Berkeley MFE student. You will be well resourced throughout your time. Now, our students are going into a broad range of opportunities, whether that's the investment banks, as I noted, many of you are interested in, fintech companies, asset management firms, and a wide variety of functional areas, whether that be data science, quantitative research, or portfolio management. Needless to say, wherever you are looking to take your career within the financial technology and financial services ecosystem, we have a track record of allowing and helping our students to find successful outcomes. And here's just a sampling of some of the companies. Again, a much more robust and full list can be found on our website, and I do encourage you to take a look. So you can see here technology companies like Amazon, banks like Morgan Stanley, hedge funds like Point72. And so no matter where you are looking to go, these are the companies that our students have had success in the past. And I know many of you will have success in the future. So what are we looking for? And what do we typically see, right? Well, as you can see here by some of our alumni profiles, right? Many have gone on to work in trading, HC Tech, work at banks like Goldman Sachs. But what you can see is that they came from a quantitative background, whether it's applied mathematics, whether it's computer science, whether it's physics. These are the types of degrees that we are seeking. And I know many of you have hopefully studied these areas as well. Again, a sampling, you can see gentlemen like Rajat coming from out of the IIT system, studied electrical engineering, and he is now the chief credit officer at Clio.ai, doing some very entrepreneurial things. Again, you can see here the underpinning of the commonality of some sort of quantitative and technical discipline that our students have studied prior to joining our program. Okay, wonderful. So now you know a little bit about this wonderful program, how it can help you get ahead, but let's talk about how you can get in now. Well, what we're looking for is we're looking for an undergraduate degree that has to be comparable to the US 4-year degree system. We will be looking for your GMAT or your GRE score. We are indifferent between those two. Typically on the quant section, the average quant percentile that we see is about 90th percentile on the quant, and then 70th percentile on the verbal. Again, not minimums, but those are averages represented of the typical admitted student. If you did not take an undergraduate degree or a graduate degree that was taught certified in English, you'll be asked to take the TOEFL or the IELTS exam. Of course, our program is taught in English, and we want to make sure that you can handle that part of the program as well. Actually, communication skills, I should add, are of crucial importance. Technical skills, of course, are the minimum bar, but we do see the students who can combine those strong technical skills with strong communication skills have the most success in our program. We'll also be looking for 2 letters of recommendation. Those can be academic or those can be professional. So who might be a good person to ask? Well, it could be a professor, it could be a mentor, it could be your supervisor for those of you who are working professionals, it could be a colleague. But again, anyone who's an academic or professional in nature, please don't ask your mom, please don't ask your best friend. Once we have that submitted application to us, the admissions committee will take a look and you may be invited for round 2. Round 2 would be an interview. Those are invitation only. And that would take place with one of our alumni, in which they will be further vetting your skills and qualifications for the program. So you will be asked questions, namely in the areas of mathematics, statistics, computer science, economics, finance, machine learning, among others. You should treat that interview, of course, the same way that you would treat a professional job interview. And we use that as one component of the holistic admissions process. Now, for those of you who have done your due diligence on this program already, you'll note we do run on an idiosyncratic calendar. We run on a March to March 12-month cycle. So the implementation of that is that every year we intake a program in March. Our next intake is March of 2024. For those of you who are interested in that program and starting in that month, you have the opportunity to apply for our October deadline, which is coming up in just a month's time here. So again, next intake is 2024 March. Last deadline is October. Now, for those of you who are looking to start the program in 2025 or later, then you can basically take a look here. We have deadlines in January, March, July, and October of every year. We are rolling admission, meaning you should never sacrifice quality for speed, but all else being equal, then try to get your application in earlier, which is great. And then applications received after the October deadline would be reviewed on a rolling basis. All right. So what are we looking for? Again, as I mentioned, we're looking for those strong quantitative skills as evidenced by what you have studied previously or your work experience. You'll need to provide strong programming skills, namely in the areas of Python, C++. Any coursework in the area of machine learning will be additive. And as I mentioned, the layering on of strong communication skills, intuition, and ability to explain complex concepts. Now, again, for more information, and again, this deck will be shared with you at a later time vis-a-vis SEED, but you can take a look at all of our prerequisites on our website. Again, our website is a wealth of knowledge, so I certainly encourage everyone to take a look at that on their time. How can you go about evidence showing these? Well, on the quantitative side, it's going to be in areas like calculus, linear algebra, PDEs, numerical analysis, advanced statistics, and econometrics. Again, the computer programming side, C++, Python, and machine learning. Finance, one of the best ways that you can establish proficiency if you don't have coursework or work experience in finance is by taking CFA level 1. That's a great baseline knowledge. And then the writing, communication, and the presentation skills. Now, if you're looking at this slide and you find it daunting, or if you say to yourself, well, I really only have 50% of this, then again, you can start making some progress towards some of these areas by taking some of the online courses that we recommend on our website. Additionally, I have seen students show that they have established proficiency in these areas vis-a-vis projects or vis-a-vis work experience. I'll give you an example. Perhaps you've studied mathematics, but you did not study computer programming, but you've been using Python and you've been working as a quant dev for the last 3 years. Well, then certainly, right, there's evidence to suggest that you would have good Python skills. We would not ask you to take additional Python coursework, right? So there's a mechanism to establish proficiency in these areas through a variety of different channels. Let me talk to you about the class that just started. So this is the class that just started with us. You can see they brought backgrounds in mathematics, statistics, engineering, computer science. You can see that they had bachelor's degrees, 66% of them, while 29% already had a graduate degree and 5% were PhD holders. The average age of our student is 26 years old, while 33% of the class identified as women. As you can see, we had an average GRE quant of 92nd percentile, and the average verbal section was 70th percentile. Now, we go all around the world to recruit and get the very top caliber best students into this program, whether it's in India, Europe, South America, Japan, Russia. We typically have nearly 20 nationalities represented in this program, a very diverse cohort, and we are very proud of the diversity in this program, of course. So, of course, I've already mentioned the amazing compensation packages that you could earn coming out of this program and the incredible ROI. But of course, you need to bridge the gap and think about ways that you can fund your education in the short term. We do, of course, have a variety of different loan opportunities available to international students. In addition, there are scholarships available. In fact, there are 3 scholarships available. One is a merit-based scholarship, no additional application needed. We will be using the same criteria by which we use to determine if you are admissible to the program. So once you apply, you will automatically be assessed for those merit-based scholarships. Once you are admitted, you will be provided an application to apply for need-based scholarships. Those are not based on merit. Those are based on financial need, right? And then again, we do have additional scholarships that you can apply for that are specific to specific donors in terms of how they would like to allocate some of their funds. Some of them are looking to fund specific types of students. So again, a variety of different ways to fund your education. Typically, if you're taking out full loans, given the high lucrative field and nature of this industry, you're looking at about a 3 to 5 year payback period. So let's take a look at the coursework. In term 1, you'll be looking at investments in derivatives, empirical methods in finance, and stochastic calculus. As you move into your summer term, you'll take data science. You'll start your fixed income markets coursework and take additional coursework in derivatives. In your third term, you'll be taking courses in the areas of high frequency finance, equity markets, currency markets, decentralized finance, deep learning. And in terms 2 and 3 is when you may also start to do some of your independent study work. That is to say, industry projects with companies and or research projects with some of our faculty to supplement some of the existing coursework. You'll then leave us for about 3 months to do your internship and then return to school for your 4th and final term by taking your applied finance project and additional coursework in the areas of behavioral finance and asset management. So as you can see, very intensive, very immersive, but a curriculum that will prepare you extremely well for the field. Now, you'll be well resourced throughout your time here with us. We have an amazing orientation week, a lot of fun where you'll get to know all of the various students in the program. Of course, we're very big here on teamwork. One of the clubs here on campus is the Financial Engineering Students Association. For those of you who are interested in taking on a leadership role, there are elected positions in that club. There's also the Women's Leadership Initiative. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we have a 30% plus female representation in this program, one of the highest in the industry. Bolstered by our women's leadership initiatives and mentorship programs. The students are taking a variety of different activities and events. I should mention that Northern California is one of the most beautiful places in the world. We are surrounded by the Pacific Ocean to the west, the forests and mountains to our east, wine country. It is an amazing, amazing place to do your graduate studies because it is such a fun and amazing place. The students are going to Yosemite National Park, Disneyland, and so an amazing, amazing time. And of course, all of this is meant as a way to help you to build a network and friendships that will last a lifetime. Now, we also will offer our MFE training lab. We have a dedicated lab manager on staff who will help you with all of your needs as it relates to financial databases, statistical and analytical software tools. And we have some of the highest and most robust resources available. Again, all at your disposal here. Dedicated lab space on campus, exclusively open to our financial engineering students here on campus. So to wrap, again, if you are interested in the areas of quant finance, financial technology, the intersection of AI and finance, this is an incredible program to help you to succeed and to break into the U.S. labor market. Again, if you're looking to continue to prepare coursework at any accredited institution in the areas of finance and programming, taking that CFA, the math and statistics prep, again, all of these resources on our website and will be sent out to you after this session. For any aspiring quant finance professional, you're going to want to pick up a copy of the books mentioned on the lower left-hand corner. And of course, be reading the Wall Street Journal and Financial Times every single day. You must be able to talk about markets in a very robust way. Now, again, for more information, please do check out our website at mfe.berkeley.edu. We have alumni profiles. We have our student blog. We have the employment reports. We have all the information and FAQs about our admissions section. We have the ability to talk to an admissions officer to review your resume, to review your transcripts. We have every single thing that you could possibly want and imagine on that website. Please, please, please do check that out. But again, if you have any lingering questions, feel free to email us at mfe@haas.berkeley.edu. We can always answer your questions there. Before we turn it over to Q&A, I will also, just before I forget, as a gift to you for participating in this section, if you are interested in taking advantage of an application fee waiver, that is a waive of $275 USD for the entering of 2024, you simply email us at mfe@haas.berkeley.edu. Again, just email us at mfe@haas.berkeley.edu, and we will waive that $275 application fee for you as a seed partner participant. Okay, without further ado, let me pause there, and I will now open it up for some Q&A. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Jacob. This was extremely interesting, and I'm sure a lot of the audience are really looking forward to coming to Berkeley and pursuing the MFE. I have 16, so we have 270 people in this room, so that speaks about the interest. We have 17 questions that have already come in. And to the audience, you've already got a gift from Jacob. You have the application fee waiver available to you. So make the most of that if you're looking to apply to the Berkeley MFE program for the 2024 intake. With that, let me go into questions. And Jacob, what I've done is we are going to take the most upvoted questions. So we're going to start with the most upvoted questions and go down the list from there. So to the audience, if you can go through the list, and if you find any interesting questions, just click on the thumbs up. That lets me know that this question is of interest to a lot of people, and I will pick that one up to ask Jacob as well. So let me start with the first question, which is by Raj, who's asking about the difference between the financial engineering and the CFA program. If I can just rephrase it a little, his question is that if you do the CFA, do you still recommend someone to pursue the MFE, or how would the MFE add for a CFA program to a CFA program charter holder?
Yeah, sure. So the CFA is going to be much more relevant and specific to an individual who's looking to go into financial services, broadly speaking. So the way that we would use the CFA is to say that you have established proficiency in finance, right? Largely speaking, product knowledge, market knowledge. It's not going to give you any of the information or prerequisite knowledge as it relates to computer science, mathematics, and statistics, machine learning, right? It's going to be a huge gap there. Now, that's on the educational side. The other main difference, of course, is that if you are looking to actually make a career change, or if you're looking to make a geographic change, right? Again, I don't, to the extent this individual is in India and looking to break into the US labor market, the CFA will have, no ability to facilitate that process at all, right? You're going to have to do a top ranked program in the United States to make that change.
And of course, the on-ground experience of studying with such a diverse cohort, I think that's a great value add as well, which possibly the CFA doesn't give. But Jacob, the next question, which has come in, this is around the CGPA. And I'm just rephrasing Shravan's question, who is asking, what is the average CGPA for a safe admit? So I understand there's no safe admit because there are a lot of factors that go into it. But if you can talk about the average CGPA of the cohort, and also if you look at any of the conversion matrix, or if you look at require a VEST or any similar transcripts evaluation to do that conversion.
Yeah, typically, on average on the 4.0 scale, we're looking at about a 3.7 average, right? On the 10-point scale, common in India, I would say that, would like to see sort of in the tune of 9, right? Now, again, does it mean that if you're more in the 8s that you're not going to be admitted? No, right? It just means that you're going to have to supplement your application in other ways. If you're in the 7 range, right, that's where, okay, you start to face potentially some challenges. And, maybe if you have amazing work experience, you have a story as to why you did not perform as well in your studies, right? Again, it would not be an automatic rejection, but certainly if you're not at least above the 8s, you're going to, potentially run into some challenges.
Jacob, the next question that I have, this is from Rishit, who's got a bachelor's in finance. So he's got a 3-year degree instead of a 4-year bachelor's in India. So first question from him is, should he top this up with a 1-year diploma? He already has a CFA level 1. So can that compensate for the 4th year of education or the 16th year of education in India?
Yep. So yes, as is common in India, there for 3 years. Unfortunately, at the institutional level, Berkeley does still not accept that. So you will need to supplement with the 4th year to get to that 4-year. And then to answer the second part of that question, CFA level 1 will not be able to do that, right? So you will need a true 4th year supplement to meet Berkeley's requirements. And again, that is a Berkeley requirement.
Okay. So Rishit, I hope that answers your question. You would need to top off your 3-year bachelor with a 4th year of education as well. I think there were a few similar questions around this, so I hope this answers that for everyone who is in the session. The next question which I want to take up, Jacob, this is around the acceptance rate. So Dhyanesh Krishnamurthy is asking this. I'm not sure if you're comfortable sharing this, but if you're okay sharing the acceptance rate overall.
We do not. We do not. I would say the following, right? We look for quality candidates, right? And so I think that I can tell you that we enroll about 80 full-time students every year. I can tell you that it's obviously a competitive process. I can tell you that if you are meeting a lot of the criteria here, right, that you have just as good a chance of being accepted as everyone else. Right. But we do not publicly share our percentages, and they do change year to year as well.
Okay. And are the applications for the, okay, so Atif, I'm not sure if your question is correct. You're asking about for the class of 2026. So I'm sure the applications for that are not yet open. But Jacob,
Correct.
Are the applications for the 2024 intake, the class of 2025 open already?
Correct. Yes. So if you are interested in starting the program in March of 2024, you should apply as soon as possible and no later than our 4th round deadline, which is in October. If you are interested in starting the program in 2025 or later, those applications are not yet open, and that cycle will start later this year. So as long as you're on our mailing list, you would be notified when those applications will go live.
Perfect. So Atif, the applications for the 2024 intake are currently open, and you should look at applying as soon as possible. Great. Okay, so I have this question from Siddhi, and this is the topmost upvoted question right now. Siddhi doesn't come from a quantitative background. She did a bachelor's in commerce, and would you still say that the MFE is a possible option for her to consider? What would be her chances of getting through without a strong quant background? And anything else that she can do to compensate for? So you did mention a couple of courses that she can do, but anything else she can do to be better prepared for the cohort?
Absolutely. So I think if you don't come from a quantitative background, right, in this particular case, commerce, right, I imagine that there's at least some related courses, right? We're not talking about that you studied comparative literature or philosophy, right? So, I imagine that you have at least some business knowledge and knowledge of the space. I think you're going to have to start working towards some of the prerequisites, right? Especially in the areas of computer science, math, again, maybe taking CFA level 1. One of the other things that you might look into trying to do is getting yourself an internship, right? And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be at Goldman Sachs. It could be at a boutique or a smaller type firm where you can build related experience, right? Without looking at your CV and your transcripts a little bit more granularly, it would be hard for me to tell you how big of a jump this is going to be. I've certainly seen people make quite a large jump. But the reason that obviously we want to, make sure you have a lot of this information and knowledge at your disposal is really the following. 1, we want to make sure that you can be successful in the coursework, which is quite intensive. And 2, interviews for internships pretty much start immediately when you start the program. So it's almost like you need to be ready upon starting the program, as opposed to saying, oh, I'll go through the program, which will get me ready, right? And so that's the 2 reasons that we want to make sure that you have all this knowledge.
Perfect. So Jacob, the next question I have is from Margaret, and she's interested in the PE/VC industry, so private equity and venture capital, and asking if the financial engineering program would be relevant to her. You already answered this through your presentation, where you did speak about a lot of graduates getting through to the industry. So I think that part of the question is already addressed, Margaret, through Jacob's presentation. But her second question is around scholarships. So what kind of scholarships can the students target for, and anything that they can do to improve their prospects of securing the scholarship?
So the merit-based, so maybe I'll just make a quick comment on the PEVC, right? If you, private equity and venture capital, right? If you are looking to do something that's on the quantitative side in those industries, what you're starting to see is that these companies, these large private equity firms and venture capital firms, need to use machine learning and data science as a part of their investment thesis, right? So how do you source deals? By using data science. That is where a financial engineering individual can make an impact. If you're looking to simply be a deal person or more of a traditional investor, then you are better suited going to an MBA program, okay? So it depends on what area of the VC or the PE space you're looking to go into, right? Second question, the scholarships. So again, I'll just kind of maybe just repeat a little bit what I said earlier, which is this. The merit-based scholarships, we will be using the same criteria that we use to determine if you're admissible. So it's going to be a combination of your academic background, how well you performed. It's going to be your test scores. It's going to be your work experience. If you don't have work experience, it'll be your internship experience. It'll be your letters of recommendation. So a combination of all of those things will be used to determine the merit-based scholarships. The need-based scholarships, of course, have absolutely nothing to do with your merit and have only what to do with your need, right? So you will be asked to provide financial statements, bank income statements to justify the request for the need-based scholarship.
Perfect. So Margaret, I hope that answers your question. Jacob, the next question I have is from Dave, and it's got 5 votes, so I'm going to ask this as well. How important is it for someone to do the CFA before pursuing the master's in financial engineering?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say that, definitely try to get level 1 under your belt. That's helpful, very helpful. Do you need to take all 3? Probably not, but again, level 1 would be helpful. Now, again, does every single admitted student have level 1 CFA? No, but they would be helpful, right? Now, especially if you were someone who did study finance or have been working in finance, then you should be able to hopefully have a lot of that knowledge already, in which case maybe you want to spend more of your time in the areas of computer science, math, and stats, right? So part of this is also your ability to self-assess your strengths and weaknesses. But all else being equal, right, getting CFA level 1 under your belt prior to the program will certainly be helpful.
Perfect. So by the way, just to the audience, last year or a few months ago, we did interact with a couple of Berkeley MFE alumni as well. So we did a panel discussion with them. You can find the recording of that session on Sidis YouTube channel. So if you want to go hear from there, hear from the alumni who studied at Berkeley MFE, how their experience was and what they are doing currently in their career in the United States, you can go find that recording on Sidis YouTube channel and watch that one as well. Jacob, the next question I have is from Shantanu, who's currently a second-year data science student who's interested in finance and trading. His question is, what kind of program would be better for him? But I can rephrase it slightly to ask you what he can do and other people who have similar questions or similar scenarios, what they can do to better prepare themselves for their MFE program a few years down the line. They have a 2-3 year runway in front of them. So what can they do to be best prepared for the course during this time?
Right. So let me answer this one right, and then maybe we can broaden this out a little bit. So if you are a 2nd or 3rd year student in data science, right, then you're going to have some good backgrounds in statistics. You should have some good background in Python and computer science. What would be less clear, right, is again, if you have some of that finance and economics knowledge. And so again, this is where it comes back to my comment on being able to self-assess your background a little bit, right? So look at the gaps in the area for this individual, right? You may want to really focus in on getting CFA level 1, or you may want to take a couple of courses in macroeconomics, right? Now, on the other side of things, supposing you're a 2nd or 3rd year student studying economics, right, or finance, then my response would be the inverse, right? Which is, how can you supplement some of your knowledge in math, stats, and comp sci, right? So look at what you're naturally getting educated in vis-a-vis your current academic degree and focus your efforts on the areas that you're not necessarily getting those education in. Make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. So Shantanu, Viraj, this is great advice for you. You're early starters. You still have some time before you apply. You can use this time to fill the gaps in your profile and make a competitive, strong application a few years down the line. Great. Jacob, the next question I have, and to the audience, we still have 10 more minutes to go. So if you have questions for Jacob, keep those coming. Also, please do go through the questions list and upvote the questions that you find most relevant. Gives us an indication of the questions that are relevant to the broader audience. And I'll pick up the next 3-4 questions to ask Jacob. Now, Jacob, the next question I have is from Manhan Saraf, who's, okay, sorry, that just got dethroned as the most awaited question, but let me take this up. Manhan's question is that he currently works with Brookfield Properties as a financial planning and analysis analyst here in Mumbai. He wants to know if has any partnerships with investment or asset management firms in the US that he can target post-studies at Berkeley MFE.
Yeah, repeat the role that he's working in at Brookfield?
So he's a FP analyst, so financial planning and analysis.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So do our students go on to work at institutional asset managers or asset managers? Brookfield, right, is more in the real estate space. Of course, there are other, more broad, firms such as PIMCO, such as BlackRock, right, where many of our students are going to work, right? Real estate, of course, is a subset of the space, and many of our students do go into the real estate space. And again, you're looking for those roles that are related to this degree, right? So it could be more of a quantitative portfolio management type track, right? Now, FP&A is, of course, a little bit tangential to this field, right? It's a little bit different. That's more of what we kind of call corporate finance, accounting, right? Financial planning and analysis, right? So you will have some good knowledge in more of those baseline accounting, financial planning skills, which would certainly be useful. But again, you will need to be able to handle some of the more quantitative and technical rigor that is related to this program, right? So if you combine your background there and then supplement with some good computer science, some good statistics, right, then you would be a strong candidate to then maybe go and work at Brookfield in the United States in a more of an investment, in a quantitative investment or portfolio management type role, or a related firm, right? TPG, for example, right? Okay.
Great. So Manan, that gives you some indication. Jacob, we still have 7-8 minutes more before we wrap up. So I want to take a few more questions. This is from Ian, whose question is, what are the chances of getting into the quant field or landing a job in quant field dealing with machine learning and data science? You did.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good question, right? So I think in every single year, if you do the things that we ask you to do, you will have success, right? You're looking at, the vast majority of students coming through this program have success. Now, the specific nature of your question is, what percentage will specifically get into machine learning? And again, those percentages on our website in terms of the functional areas that students are going into, whether it be trading, ML, AI, right? And so I encourage you to take a look at that. Obviously, the area of the application of machine learning in financial services is growing, right? And so I suspect that the percentage of students who are going into those kinds of roles specifically will also grow over time, right? Your likelihood of getting into an ML role within financial services is going to be directly correlated with your background and your ability to be successful in interview processes, right? So certainly having good prior knowledge of machine learning, certainly taking coursework in ML, certainly taking the machine learning courses when you come to our program, doing a research project with Professor Ali Kagbat, which, by the way, in addition to the alumni chat session that we just mentioned on the YouTube channel, you will also find a sample course in data science given by Professor Ali Kagbad that, again, we did vis-a-vis Seed last year. So that should be also up available for your perusal as well. So to the extent you do all of those things, right, I have every reason to believe you would be successful in getting a machine learning related role within the space.
Jacob, the next question that I'm going to take up is from Kanishka Sikri, who's asking what kind of profiles within tech and fintech industries do MFE graduates typically get hired for? Or if there's a link to the employment report that you can share with them, or they can find on the website, this may help them.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would say is that on the roles, right, functional roles, you're looking at quantitative research, quantitative trading. You're looking on the fintech side and the tech side at roles or functional titles such as machine learning engineer, such as data scientist, right? Such as financial technology strategist, right? These are the kinds of roles. Another role more within the financial services space would be portfolio management analyst, right? So those are the kinds of titles or functional areas that our students are going into.
Perfect. And to the audience, I've posted the link to the Berkeley MFE employment reports for the last 2 years in the chat window. The employment report for 2022 and 2023 is available on that link. You can go there, see the placement statistics, the industry and function split, the employers and locations. All those details are available on the link that I've just posted in the chat window. Great.
Perfect.
Jacob, the next question I have, and you already addressed this in your presentation, GMAT and GRE score, one of them is mandatory, I understand, to apply. So I'm going to rephrase Margaret's question a little bit. Is there any possibility of someone getting a waiver on the GMAT or GRE score requirement?
If you are a PhD holder, we would consider it.
Okay. The next question I have is from Dave, who is concerned about his UG CGPA. He's got a 7 out of 10. And he's asking, can he balance that out or compensate for the low CGPA by doing CFA level 1?
You can, right? And so again, yep, I think we spoke a little bit about this earlier where, you know, you are sort of at the bottom, right, in terms of academic performance. Now, again, maybe something was going on. Maybe you had some family issues. Maybe, you had trouble adjusting to school, right? Talk about that in your optional essays, right? So give us the reason that you may have struggled a little bit, right? I mean, many people struggle and then go on to do some amazing things. It's fine. 2 is, yes, you can supplement your application other ways. So CFA level 1 is a great example. Maybe performing very well on the GRE, GMAT could be another example. Maybe securing some really good work experience or internships could be another example. Maybe taking a lot of courses in related areas and performing well to sort of justify, hey, I didn't do well initially, but now I'm doing well. These are all examples of how you can combat that low CGPA.
Great, thanks. So Jeffrey, your question around GRE waiver, I've already asked that to Jacob, so that's already addressed. So I'm going to mark that as answered. But Jacob, the next question I want to take up, this is from Siddhi, who is asking how do you actually use the application fee waiver? What should she put as the subject of her email that she writes to your team?
Yeah, very simple. Email the team at the email address we gave, right? mfe@haas.berkeley.edu. And subject line can just be seed-app fee waiver. Seed-app fee waiver. So Sanjay, if you could just put that in the chat box, right? And then my team will give you the necessary instructions for how to take advantage of that.
Perfect. So everyone, I've put this in the chat window. I've put the message the subject that you need to use. It's seed-app fee waiver, and the email address is mfe@has.berkeley.edu. So use that to request for your application fee waiver. My suggestion would be only if you're seriously looking to apply for the 2024 intake, then trouble Jacob's team. But if you're looking at some future year or future intake, then possibly don't bother with this right now. Hold on and request for it. Possibly attend the next year's session and then request for it. Great. Let me take up the next question, and I'm going to take up the last two questions. We're already in the last 5 minutes, so I'm just going to take up the last two questions and then wrap up the session. Uh, while it's a personal question, I'm still going to take it up because it could be informative to the audience. So Mustafa has an admit for the MIS program at Syracuse University. Mustafa, I'm assuming it's the Masters of Information Systems program, and he is interested in building a career in quantitative trading. If from your experience, right, and I'm sure you don't want to do a direct trade-off or comparison with Syracuse's program, but broadly, if someone had to ask you, which is a better pathway to get into quantitative trading? Is the MIS a better option or an MFE? Would you have any recommendations or suggestions for that, considering your vast experience in the industry?
MFE. MFE. Yeah, MIS is a little bit different, right? I mean, again, if you're looking to go into more of a traditional software engineering or more of a, sort of just a back office developer type role, then, you can certainly get there using an MIS degree at Syracuse. But if you want to get into, a high-end quant trader role, MIS, degree is not gonna get you there.
So Mustafa, I hope this helps, and even to others who are confused between the various options. So choose a program depending on what your career goal is, and find the best fit program accordingly. Arif, I'm going to skip your question because Jacob has already answered that on the basis of what basis the financial aid is given. So he's already spoken about merit and need-based scholarships. So that information is there. If you missed that part, you can find the recording of this session on our YouTube channel and find the information over there as well. Samit, your question is answered as well. The prerequisites, the eligibility criteria, Jacob did show that in the presentation. So you'll find it also on the website.
Yes, so Sanjay, let me drop a couple links on that note. So this link, prereqs, right, that will take you to all of the different areas that you need to establish proficiency in, as well as outline what you need to do. So it should all be outlined there. And then an even more robust link here, where we in the where to take classes to fulfill prerequisites have outlined for you in each of the areas: math, stats, finance, macro, machine learning, etc. all of the pre-approved courses that you can take to establish proficiency. So I think that will be very helpful for those of you who are looking to sort of understand how you can better prepare knowledge gaps.
All right. So the next few questions by Suyash. Okay, so Suyash, Viraj, these are already answered. Your question was around BSc data science and wanting to do an MFE. So we already spoke about that. I want to take two interesting questions that have just come in, and I'm going to focus on that. So Suyash, your question about the 3-year degree, that's already answered. You need to top it up with some 4th year of education as well as per the requirement that Jacob mentioned. Jacob, the next question I have is from Dhyanesh. He's asking, can they apply to both the MFE and MBA program in the same year, same cycle? Or in this case, do you have a dual degree option where someone can do the MFE and then continue into the MBA program?
We do have a dual degree for MBA and engineering, but not financial engineering, right? So there's a dual degree MBA and then master's in engineering. Engineering, of course, being a bit more broad than just the subset of financial engineering. At a certain point in time, you will be asked to make a decision, right? So you would not be able to have sort of the 2 live applications at once. So these are pretty different degrees. I would not necessarily, see the need to sort of do both necessarily. If you are an MBA, you will have the opportunity to take MFE classes and can earn a certificate. If you do like to go for the MFE, you can also take some MBA classes while you're a student here as well, right? But I would encourage you to sort of think about which of these degrees is a better fit for you, and then go for that one.
Great. So we are right on time, but I still want to squeeze in one last question, and this is possibly relevant to a lot of audience coming from India. This is a question from Avi Singh, who's got a BTech in information science, which is a subset of computer science in India. He's got a CGPA of 8 out of 10 and works in the software industry in India. And given that there are so many Indians who work in the comp science industry, in software development, and the IT industry broadly, does it put him or anyone else coming from the IT industry at a disadvantage if they are looking at the Berkeley MFE? What would be their prospects of getting through?
Yeah, not necessarily, right? I mean, because you'll be bringing in some good knowledge in computer science, right? And again, for many of these jobs that we're talking about, having good background and coding skills is of crucial importance. Now, if you can layer on, some good backgrounds in math and stats, and then of course, get some good knowledge in finance, that will be what will sort of make you stand out from the typical, sort of IT professional or the typical software developer, right? Now, another way is, again, we don't know what company you're working at. It's different if you are a software developer at a major investment bank as opposed to a software developer at, let's say, a consulting firm, right? Because you'll be working with potentially traders. You'll be working potentially with portfolio managers if you're at a financial services firm, which would then again help to differentiate yourself from the typical or just the standard IT or developer type person, right? So there are a few ways that you can make yourself, I think, stand out. But overall, no, it's not necessarily that, that's a good background to have as a foundational sort of setting.
Great. That's great advice, Jacob. If you're comfortable, there are some more interesting questions come up. I can take one or two more. I want to squeeze in as relevant information as I can. Great. So let me take up the next question which has come from Kanishka. She's asking, can students do a co-op for a longer duration than just the internship period? So the internship is usually during the fall, October to December window, I understand. But can students opt to do a longer co-op and a longer internship consequently?
Yep, you can. We would approve. That would be, approved on an ad hoc basis, right? So if it's the company's preference or the student's preference to do a longer co-op or internship, then yes, we would approve those. I mean, right? We optimize for career outcomes, right? So we would do everything we can to try to get that through the approval process.
Great. And with that, I come to my last question for the evening. This is from Harshvardhan, who's asking if he can apply for the deferred MBA it has along with the MFE program. So he applies to MFE now and applies for a deferred admit to the MBA program. And secondly, his question is around what should or key difference between the has MBA program with a specialization in finance versus the MFE program. I'm assuming Harshvardhan has some experience and is eligible for both. So which should be the better option for him, the MBA finance or the MFE?
Yeah, I mean, listen, largely speaking, right, if you can have multiple, sort of applications, live at a time if you want to try to, sort of get to Haas in, sort of whatever way, shape, or form. But again, I would say just kind of coming back to my earlier comment, try to assess which of the degrees is best fit for you, because again, these are not necessarily very similar degrees, right? They are looking to go out into, students are looking to do some different things, right? And that would come, maybe sort of the second part of the question, which is an MBA with a finance specialization. You're talking about just a very different career track, right? So an MBA with a finance specialization, right? These are people who might be going into more of what I call traditional financial services roles, right? Investment banking, more on the M&A or the capital market side. Portfolio management, that's more sort of fundamental research-based analysis. Traditional sort of deal structuring and making within financial services, right? Corporate development, right? MBA, finance specialization. If, however, you want to be a quantitative trader, you want to be a quantitative researcher, you want to be a quantitative developer, you want to be a machine learning engineer, you will never get to those paths with an MBA specialization, right? There's a very low probability you'll be successful in trying to get into those kinds of jobs. So that's why I come back to, you got to think about where you see yourself within this industry, right? Because the degrees will help you get to two different parts of the financial and financial tech ecosystems, right?
So I know there are more questions coming in. There are 23 questions still unanswered, but I'm pretty sure if we keep going on, we'll be here the whole night. So what I'm going to do is, with everyone's permission, I'm going to wrap up today's session. To the audience who still have unanswered questions, the email address that you can write to Berkeley and Jacob's team is in the chat. So make the most of it. I'm once more putting the subject of the emailer that you should send if you are looking to avail of the application fee waiver and the email address in the chat right now, so you can avail it over there. A lot of information is on the Berkeley website as well, right? Jacob has also shared the link to the admissions contact form, so you can use that for your queries. Do take the effort to check out the website. I think a lot of us have become very, if I can use this word, lazy and not putting in the effort to check out the website. A lot of information, everything is there on the website, on YouTube, on a lot of these forums. So make the most of that information. And for any relevant unanswered questions, you can reach out to the Berkeley Has team, especially for MFE in the chat through the link that Jacob has shared in the chat window. With that, I want to thank Jacob for taking out the time to do this session. I'm quite confident this has been extremely informative. There's still more than 150 people in this room, so I'm pretty sure they've stuck around for the last 1 hour because they have found this extremely informative. So thank you, Jacob, for taking out the time to do this. And thank you to our audience as well. You have been wonderful today. The questions have been extremely relevant, and it's great to have all of you over here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sanjay. Thank you to Seed. Thank you to the participants. We look forward to having you apply for our wonderful program. Again, if you are interested in financial innovation, quantitative finance, financial technology, all of the exciting things going on at the intersection of these spaces, we encourage you to take the next step. Join us out here at the wonderful UC Berkeley and beautiful California. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Absolutely, Jacob. Have a great day. Have a good night, everyone from India and Asia. Take care. Bye-bye.